And we are very pleased to welcome back to Soul today, Nicola Lane. Nicola, thank you for coming back into the studio.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, you brought a friend with you.
Yes, my colleague Kerry Jeffery.
Kerry, welcome to Soul.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Now, you guys are doing some really exciting stuff with children at the moment. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, well, we've both been working in the areas of hypnotherapy and counselling for quite a few years. And I was working with a lot of families and children with various issues. So we've been using a process called Sleep Talk for Children. And through the years that we've been practicing it with families, we found it had great results, but there were some key elements that we really wanted to introduce into our unique program, which is the Karma Kids program. So it's really exciting because we know that there's some really fundamental things that work brilliantly in it, and so we're excited to get it out there to people just so they know what it is and what it does. Yeah.
Okay, well, take us through it so we can all know what it is.
Sure, okay. Anytime if you want to speak, or I'm happy to.
Yeah, I can just tell everybody a little bit about what we're doing. And so Nicola and I caught up after a while and we were talking about the various things that we were doing, and we both had really great success with the Sleep Talk for Children program. And what that actually does is we don't work with the children, we work with the parents. And we teach them this very simple, easy process that takes 5 minutes a night that they use while their child is just drifting into sleep. And with these powerful positive statements, it goes into the child's subconscious mind, and so it overcomes any beliefs they've had that make them feel insecure or sibling rivalry if the new babies come along, and it just gives them that beautiful reassurance that mum and dad love you, that you're good enough, that today's going to be a fabulous day. So that's going into their subconscious mind. And what we actually found through this process, which is wonderful because I did it with my own son who was very anxious, he'd wake up in the morning and spontaneously say the statements that had been said to him while he was asleep, and come out and say, "Oh, today's a really happy day, Mum."
So he'd obviously been meditating on those during the night.
Exactly. So it all goes into the subconscious mind, and it takes over any programs that they've picked up, because kids pick up on energy, don't they, Nick? I mean,
absolutely.
They're so sensitive. And then what the other piece we wanted to add into this is that generally, if the children have issues, they're picking it up from somewhere. So maybe, there's a little bit of a conflict in the family, or mum and dad aren't communicating as well, or there's been other things that are coming into the family.
External
so maybe, interfering in-laws or something like that. So we realised that we needed to come up with a way to support the parents or the single parent or the grandparent or the carer to give them skills, so better communication skills, conflict resolution, talking about any issues. And so what we've done is we've made it a whole family therapy, haven't we, Nick?
We have. So we've incorporated a whole lot of things into it. And the good thing is it's really tailored for each family. So whatever their needs are, that's what we help address in the program. So, it works with children from the ages of 1 up to 13. And then we've had so many different types of families come to us, whether they're separated, single mums, single dads. I've had a particular case which was around domestic violence, and that was quite an amazing outcome. To families that are frustrated and fed up with having issues with their children that they haven't been able to resolve, and they've tried everything. They've gone to paediatricians, they've gone to counsellors, psychologists. I had a family lately, where they said, "We're just absolutely at our wits' end. We don't know what else to do. We're desperate. You're our last port of call. We'll try anything." And so that's what happened.
Hopefully in time you'll be the first port of call.
Well, that's the thing. So I don't think people aren't really aware of what it is and what's out there. So we want to, just raise the profile of what this actually is, so then people can have more choices and, what they want to do and how they want to work with their families. So that I don't feel stuck, that I don't feel like there's nothing left. Yeah.
Would this help with children that are typically diagnosed as ADHD and those types of children as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It certainly
Yes.
does. Children on any sort
Yes.
of disabilities or any sort of emotional issues on any different
Autism.
spectrum, it's
Yep.
incredibly helpful. Actually,
Yes.
Sleep Talk for Children was invented by Joan Goulding for her own child. And back in that days, because Joan's in her 80s now, is she?
Yeah,
Late
nearly.
70s? Yeah, nearly 80.
She's got a daughter in her 40s.
And in those days, her little girl was having severe developmental disorders, and she was actually made to put a dunce's hat on at school. And Joan was actually told it was her fault. She was a bad mother.
Oh.
And it was only later they discovered that her daughter did have developmental delays quite profoundly too.
Right.
And so she and Jim, her husband, came up with this process for Michelle, and they noticed that she made these astonishing leaps, and where she was non-verbal, she was suddenly becoming verbal. And, you know, so she's now married and living independently, which back in the day they'd said to her, Joan, put her into a home. She's never going to grow up and have a normal life. So that's how Joan
It makes you wonder how many people were actually put in homes because of things like that back then. It's like the dark ages, isn't it?
Yeah, it
We're
is.
only talking about 40, 50 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, wow.
So it's bringing it out of that, clearly. So it's quite amazing what it can do. It's quite surprising, and it still surprises me, even still, when parents say this has happened and that's changed, and I say, oh, wow, really? I've just finished working with a family that has a child, preteen, with autism, non-verbal, and they are astounded that they've done a lot of work. They're a beautiful family, and through the Sleep Talk process, which has actually helped to bond the family together even more closely. They were close before, but this has
Put them even closer.
been really special for them. And he's been starting to respond in ways that they hadn't noticed before.
Oh, wow.
Even with all the years of all the different types of therapies that have happened.
I really like the idea, the fact that the whole family are involved in this. That
It's lovely.
It's a collective effort there, you know. It's not just one parent and one child. It's everyone.
Yes.
So, how did you guys get involved in this?
Well, it just sort of, we fell into it. We didn't even really need to try. I think we were talking one day and, we were just, I can't even remember what it was about, and we started talking about Sleep Talk for Children, and we were talking about how we could really improve in the process. And then as we got chatting together, we realised, and I realised, that we needed to add a whole lot more to the whole process, so including families and making it more flexible. It's not just for the child, it's not a child's issue actually, it's the whole collective family issue.
Yep.
But in and around that, we wanted to add in support to the parent or parents, which we found was really important and vital also to the outcome for their child as well.
Yes.
Because you can implement the process, and yes, it has amazing results. At the same time, though, we found that by adding in the extra support in and around the whole family unit, whether that be through communication skills with the parents, very often parents are really frustrated,
Yes.
and it might cause tension in their relationship. So we want to map it out so we can help everyone feel more calmer and more at ease throughout the whole thing. So it actually improves relationships. Inadvertently through that as well. We found there were some key elements that were really important to add into the program, which is why we've come up with the Calmer Kids program.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Steve, when your child isn't sleeping or they're really anxious and you're leaving at a childcare and school and they're distressed and upset, you're stressed, you're trying to go to work, mum and dad feel helpless, they're sleep deprived, they don't know what to do.
And as we know, that energy transfers. And
Absolutely, and it creates that, downward spiral. And so, and I think when children have an issue, there's a lot of expectations put on the parents that, they've got to solve it. They've got to be the ones driving it. Yeah. And so we're not just giving them something that here's something you need to do for your child, which is going to make them better.
Yeah.
We're saying we're here to support you. We're going to talk to you about your frustrations, your issues. We're going to give you some, skills to communicate clearly with your partner so that you feel like you're working together and you're sharing the load.
Yes.
And you're actually, you can see that that impact in the family? So it's not just focused on the children, it's supporting the parents so that they then feel motivated as they get the result. They feel motivated, they're getting on, they're working in partnership. And then the whole family, just the dynamic changes, and it's really amazing.
Absolutely. And if there's a situation where the parents aren't together, then we're still able to support them in the same process.
Oh, right.
It's just adaptable to the needs of each situation. So while collectively we'll have the parents, if they're still together as a family unit, if they're not, and I've worked with quite a few single parents, we're still able to find solutions and strategies that will help them in any given situation.
Yes.
Like, for instance, the domestic violence situation, we adapted the process to help her so she could manage and cope on her own in the type of environment she was in. So it still worked really effectively, regardless of whether, you know, it's someone by themselves or whether it's the parents together.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good.
What I like about this too, from what I'm getting, is that it's not only positive affirmations, but it's also, you're avoiding the whole blame game thing. You're not saying, well, it's your fault, it's this kid, or the kid's fault. You're just getting... Now, I suppose where I'm going with this is, after a while of doing these positive affirmations, if there is an issue, I suppose that gets highlighted just through doing those. Like, people can work through those without having to make a sort of guilt trip about it. Am I correct there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And it's also part of the process too on the sleep talk area. So we start off with the general statement, which sort of covers everything.
Yeah.
But if there's a specific issue, like say maybe they're aggressive, or you know they're bedwetting, or they're doing something, we actually work with the parents to tailor those statements to make it very specific down to the issue. Which then changes the child. And if we notice when we're working with the parents that there's a real issue in communication, because let's face it, Steve, we're not taught to communicate.
That's true.
We're taught to argue and blame and say, you always, you should have, you
and
never.
we don't listen very well either. We listen to respond, not to hear. Yeah,
exactly. So we're actually teaching the parents with, you know, we give them resources. I've got my ebook combined with Nicola's MP3 downloads and things, so they've got relaxation, anxiety relief, and clear communication skills. And we sit with them and give them those skills that they can use not only with each other, with their kids, with their colleagues, with their boss, with their family. And so it goes from the family and it just spreads out, and they get skills that are going to last them for the rest of their life that they can then teach the children.
Yeah, which is brilliant. And those children grow up with those skills, being able to teach their children, obviously.
Yes.
You said before there was an age limit. Was it 5 to 13? Is that what you said?
1 to 13.
1 to 13. Okay. Why is there a cut-off at 13? Just out of curiosity.
So with children, you know, the minds are very open and receptive. But when we reach a certain age, we start to develop our own analytical, critical thinking. And so it's actually nurturing them at that stage where it's going to get in deeper. And so then as a child or preteen becomes an adult, they start to develop their own way of thinking, and you've got teenage thinking responding. So it would be adaptable from sleep talk to say they could do hypnosis.
Right.
So it's more of an adult form of a similar type thing. It's still working in the right brain, in the subconscious, getting in there and helping get rid of unhelpful patterns and behaviours. But it's just more appropriate to use that form of therapy rather than the sleep talk for children.
Yeah. I suppose once they get past 13, they really need to be working on different levels, don't they?
And it can depend too if they have something that keeps their mental age a little bit lower. You know, they're still maybe 16 or something, but still developmentally only about 8 or 9. Then sleep talk process is still the appropriate one. So it really depends on their own brain development assessment. And when they're old enough to reason and understand those sort of concepts, it's going to be much more powerful for them to work with us one-on-one. But because with children, when they're young and that critical area of the brain isn't developed, the parents are so incredibly powerful. Like, you know, children want to see you as this wonderful godlike figure who can do anything. And that's why we don't work with the children at that stage. We teach the the parents to do it, because the sound of the parent's voice goes right into the subconscious mind and is taken as literal truth and fact.
And how often do we hear people say, oh, my parents never complimented me or loved me or anything?
Yeah.
And this is something where they're getting a positive reinforcement from that role model.
Exactly. That's what they're hearing. And, you know, everybody has children. If you ask them, you know, what did you most want to receive when you were a child? You would have said, I wanted to know that my parents really loved me. And that's what this process gives them. Plus giving the parents all of these, you know, the skills and supports and communication, so that the whole family transforms rather than, you know, the children.
It's brilliant, it really is. Now, talking about outcomes, I wanted to ask about the whole drug thing. A lot of kids are drugged up, you know, to suppress their behaviour. I would guess that this has already had a proven track record of helping kids get off the drugs because they don't need those anymore, because this is helping them in other ways?
When you say drugs, what
drugs as in like the ADHD drugs and those sorts of antidepressant type drugs that they seem to give kids these days, Ritalin, those sorts of things.
Yes. So with the process, as we go through and we do the foundation statements, and then we work on the primary area of need for that child, they can go and get reassessed in terms of their needs for drugs.
Right.
So we don't diagnose that side of things. What we work with is the behaviour and the responses of that child, and also within the family unit. And then the parents themselves will then reassess how that's tracking.
But I would imagine though, with this process, a lot of them have reassessed them and found that they're not required anymore, you know?
Yeah, most likely. So, you know, it just depends on the situation.
Sure, yeah.
It's a similar process if we're seeing adults who have depression or anxiety.
Same thing.
They might, we would never tell anybody to, you know, not take medication, because that's totally between them and their doctor. But what always happens, I've never seen it not happen, is that people eventually realise they don't need it. They don't need the sleeping tablets because, you know, we've got to the root of the anxiety, the depression, whatever the, you know, the issues. I work specifically with PTSD and trauma to remove that. And so people are actually naturally just able to let it go without us even needing to be involved in the process or say anything about the medication. Yeah,
it's flowing and it's very natural, and then they're quite surprised at how they're feeling better, and there's less need for that type of assistance. And again, they go back to their GP, or if they're seeing a psychiatrist, they get it reassessed. Very often I've seen a lot of people come off blood pressure tablets, things like that. That, you know, their blood sugar levels have even improved.
Well, even for the parents too, who have been living with that stress, they may be looking for something to help them get through that. That stress taken away, they're not needing that anymore.
No, so they're actually doing it naturally and managing it in a way that's much healthier.
That's so exciting.
So I've seen it over and over again. I specialise in anxiety and depression,
of course,
and working with quite a few different clients that have had even clinical depression where it's biological, have had this belief that I can't change it and I'm always going to be on this medication for life. There's a particular client I've been working with who's actually quite astounded at the fact that the way he feels and thinks and behaves has actually shifted, even though in the medical field he's been diagnosed as biological depression. He's actually changed and didn't think that would ever be possible, but he's living proof of it, and he works in the medical profession himself.
Oh well, that's amazing, isn't it? It locks in even more when someone from that profession is realising that, isn't it?
I can't say who it is or what they do, but I can say that that's a fact.
That's fantastic. It really
just proves how deeply entrenched we can get into a person's beliefs, values, and help to shift and release whatever is that underneath internal block. And like with post-traumatic stress disorder, the same thing.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot of people with that who've, you know, then seeing psychiatrists, psychologists, all different sorts of therapies, and within a couple of sessions they've actually started, they're not in that trauma anymore, and we can start rebuilding their life. So I mean, as you said at the start of the interview, it's we're usually the last call, and we've all had the experience, haven't we, Nick, of them saying, you are my last hope. And what a burden, you know, to put on, you are my last hope. And it's a real shame that hypnotherapy is seen that way because
Yeah.
there's just so much that we can do to help people so they don't have to go on medication.
Yeah.
They don't have to live with the trauma or, you know, people's lives can be transformed in a fairly simple, relaxing, effective way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, for parents that may be listening or watching at the moment, if they suspect that their child may be needing or could benefit from this, what are like the sort of warning signs or symptoms, if you like, of people that would be appropriate for this treatment?
There's a wide range of areas that this process helps with. So it can be, as we said, bedwetting, anxiety. A lot of children have separation anxiety. Can be, Asperger's, autism, even bullying at school. Issues around separated families. There's such a wide range of areas that this assists with. So any family, I suppose, that's undergoing distress or anxiety around their child and the family situation, it would be appropriate for. Having said that, we do an initial consult over the phone just to get a sense of, it's going to work or, what their needs are. So we always do that before we engage anyone in working together.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, if they want to contact you, how can they best do that?
Yes, so either Kerry or myself. So Nicola at the Hypnotherapy Group. My number is 0409 185 551. Or you can go to my website, which is thehypnotherapygroup.com.au, and also Kerry.
Yes, and I'm over at www.lovetransformslc.com, or you can give me a call on 0403 274 297. We both love to talk to you about any issues that, if you're concerned about your child, or if you're getting calls from the school, or communication with the kinders or something like that, then usually that's as a parent, you just know that there's something going on. You're feeling helpless, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling exhausted. That's the sign.
Give us a call.
That's probably about 95% of the
Yes.
population.
Just call us anyway.
That's right. And for those who are watching, you can see those addresses and phone numbers on the screen behind us right now. Ladies, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today. It's been wonderful to have you in.
Pleasure. Thank you, Steve. It's been great.
Yes, it's been fantastic. Thank you so
All
much.
the very best.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.